Hello, everybody. My name is D'Artagnan Stanley, and I'll be introducing you to my Hawk mechanics. Okay, let's get it started. All right, let's go here to level to the Hawk. As you can see right here, there's the Hawk flying around. It goes to patrol points on each time on its own by the hit feature that I got inside of it. It looks for a target to patrol to. So right now, it is looking for targets, but the player can, in the future, the player will be able to fight with it, and it will be able to chase the player. Right now, for the engagement part, it just hits the player, and the player is able to destroy it. And another feature I was working on is the snake. As you can see, the snake, they both run off of behavior trees, and the player, they act on their own. As you can see, the snake does damage when it shoots a load of venom. And when it sees the player, it'll start chasing them. Around the map. The snake got patrol points, just like the AI hawk. It'll patrol from point to point to point. And both of them, I did not add any features of sound yet. I wasn't able to implicate that into the behavior tree yet. But in our next sprint, I'll make sure to have it, and so that you can see every little aspect of the snake and the hawk. My name is D'Artagnan Stanley, and I hope you enjoy this, and thank you for your time.
Hello, this is Eric Cameron, and I will be going over my mechanic for our second sprint, the spawn handler. Let's hop in. Okay, so the basic idea of the spawn handler is a random spawner for both our predator and prey. So some things to highlight. This spawns 4 different objects. 2 of them are the spawn points for the predators and prey. So we have burrows and caves, and then the predators themselves and prey themselves, which will then spawn on the point. So here we have a prey. This is just one of the many that spawn throughout the area, and the prey will then randomly choose which one they will spawn from. And the location of all of the spawners are also completely random in the map. We have set up so that each of our prey can come from these burrows, and each of the predators that we have will come from the caves themselves. So we saw the burrow, and now we have the cave itself. This is where all the predators will spawn from. I wanted to make sure that the 2 felt distinct from each other, and the burrows were kind of small, and the caves very big and obvious, so we could tell, the danger versus the areas of opportunity there. Another thing that is worth noting before I get into some more technical details is the ping system. So this is another mechanic that came in light of the spawner. We needed a way to better identify when the player was near different things. So we have prey showing up this little sound symbol here, and predators showing up with a little wolf icon. So all of that was part of the mechanic that I implemented here. And it is based on the distance for the player. So if we get close enough, you can see it. If we get far away, then we'll see that it'll start to fade away. And then in addition to that, if you get close enough, it will also go away, as we didn't want to clutter up the player's vision too much with all of this. So with the technical details of it, as I said, everything is done randomly. The spawner is an object that's placed in the world, and then it will choose valid locations. Anything that is set to world static is a valid location, and it will account for elevation and adjust itself as best it can. And you'll see that throughout the several levels here. A big part and the reason for this spawn handler to exist is, one, to create some diversity in the gameplay, so that it's different every time that the player starts, and to implement our day-night cycle. Since owls do hunt at night, we wanted to be able to display that to the player. So using the spawn handler, depending on how what part of the day we're in, it will change the makeup of the predator versus prey ratio. So currently in the first part of my level here, we're set in evening, which will keep showing up on the top left. It's just a print string for the moment, but we will be implementing a sun and moon on the bottom right as a HUD icon. But currently this is an evening, so the prey is abundant and predators are still just coming out of their caves, so they're not that common. And as we move into the next section, we'll see that kind of ratio will change. So let's move into the next area. So here, this would be a nighttime setting. So we've moved into night, as it shows on the top left there. So here, the predator and prey currently are equal in how they spawn, or as far as how many can spawn within the level. So this adjusts as the player goes through. This is to create a sense of urgency. The longer the night or the cycle goes, the more common predators are. So it pushes the player to get to the win state, which is to fight the boss. And we just wanted to have that sense of urgency, since it's something that's important with the genre that we're going for, as well as one of our pillars in wanting to create that urgent sense in gameplay. So all of this is modifiable, and our time states and how long the level is going to last, or how long we expect for the player to stay in the level. That's something that we plan on addressing in balance month, and going through all of those things. But for the sake of this example, I have it set for each level is a specific time of the day. So we'll move into the last area here, and then I'll talk about one more point on my mechanic. So moving into this would become the dawn. So at this point, predators would be very prevalent, and prey would be scarce. So this is to reinforce the player should really work towards the boss and try to take care of them and progress the level. And the last thing I want to, I guess an additional point I want to touch on is a lifespan. We wanted to implement some sort of rarity system for the predator and prey. So to do that, I implemented a lifespan for everything that spawns. So the spawn handler has a limit to what can be spawned in each stage, and with the predator and prey just kind of existing the whole time, it doesn't create much of a flow for a rarity system. So what I did was put a lifespan on each of the predator and prey to create sort of like a rarity system. So they will stay alive for a specific amount of time based on the rarity. Currently, common will stay around for 60 seconds, uncommon will stay around for 120, and then rare will stay around for 180. So the longer it's here, the less likely it is to respawn again. And that way it will refresh even if the player is taking a little bit of extra time during their time of day. They will see different predator and prey show up based on the rarity. And then that is the basic overview of everything dealing with the spawn handler. Since it is its own object, we have the ability to place it in the level and then modify what details we need to modify based on what we want to do. All of those are public, so we can easily change those things as we're working through in the plan editor. And I think that this will be a great way to make sure that each time through is unique for the player, to give that sort of randomness nature to it, and give the player a reason to return to these levels and keep trying them again and again for different spawn points and different things emerging. Maybe they get prey that they didn't get the time before that has a special power up or something along those lines. But yep, so that's pretty much it with my spawn handler. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
Hi, my name is Noah Anderson, and this is my mechanic milestone submission for Team Neptune Shark. This is our final build for the sprint, so I'll go ahead and launch that here. Brave Bird Studios. Here's our still untitled owl game. If we go into the level select, we'll see all our different IPM levels. Here we can go into the egg drop level, as that is the one I worked on during this sprint. So the player is dropped into this world with mountains all around them and some foliage, and they are encased in a glass box to keep them from escaping and going too far. This will allow the player to focus on the new mechanic. Okay. So this is how I lead the player through the level to teach them how to use the mechanic through these different texts that appear throughout this. So this first one says press E when you are near the branch in order to perch. So if you go near this branch and you press E, you begin perching. And stay on the branch in order to fill up your egg meter. You might have noticed in the bottom left corner you have that angry little egg bomb guy, and that meter filled up while I was standing on this branch. Next we're told, once our egg meter is full, try laying an egg by pressing 1 midair. We're given the tip to press spacebar and then press 1 midair to lay the egg. So if I jump and press 1, you'll notice I lay an egg. And there's a sound, a little feedback there to let you know that you did lay that egg. Okay, excellent. Let's try detonating the egg bomb by pressing 2. Tip, if you want to look really cool, don't look back at the explosion. As much as I do want to look really cool, I want to show you the feedback for the egg explosion. So if I look back at it and I press 2 here, you'll see the egg explode and the audio feedback for it. Excellent. All right. Be careful not to stand too close to the explosion. This is the punishment. If you use the egg bomb incorrectly, you will damage yourself. I'll fill up another egg here. Notice I have 50 health. This is our reward and punishment. We are told to destroy this target. This is simulating a predator in the level. And before I do, I want to point out this button here. It gives us the instructions to destroy all targets in order to unlock. If we try to interact with this button now, it will not work as it's encased in this glass box. So a player can come over and jump and lay an egg by one of their predators. and they can press 2 to detonate it and damage the predator. Although notice if I stand too close to it, I'll damage myself as well, and I dropped 10 HP. So that is our reward and punishment. If the reward is damaging the predator, the punishment is damaging yourself if you're too close. Okay, now that we've destroyed that last target, let's try pressing this button. Notice the glass case disappeared. If we go press the button, we'll see the door open, and it'll give us a few seconds to get through before the door closes again. Alright, this is the next iteration and variation in this level to teach the player what else they can do with their eggs. Okay, next, let's see how you can use the egg to heal yourself. Try laying an egg into a nest to see what happens. Okay, so if we fly up to the branch here and we'll perch, we'll fill up that egg. If we go over to the nest, we'll notice that if we actually lay the egg in the nest, the egg cracks and an egg yolk comes out. And see, right now I have 40 HP, but if I eat this egg, I go up to 65. It is a way that the player can heal themselves. Press E to consume the egg yolk is what we were told. Next, let's see how standing on the egg can increase our stamina. Okay, let's go to this egg and stand on it. Notice, I'll lose some stamina here. Notice the claw in the bottom left corner. That's our stamina meter. And as I fly around, you'll see that I start to lose it. But if I stand on the egg and warm it, you'll notice that, let me stand on it. You'll notice that while I'm standing on it, I am building my stamina back up. This gives the player lots of agency as there's many different functions for the egg. They can use it to damage enemies, they can use it to heal themselves, and they can use it to regain stamina by standing on it. Here we have the chance to practice out our eggs on these moving targets. So I'll try this again and lay another egg and time this out. Try to avoid the explosion myself and detonate it right when the target comes to turn on this next button, which brings this door down. Now this is a unique one. This button is much further away, and that's going to come into play in a minute. This is the final mastery section of the level. This gives the player a chance to see how the egg can damage enemies standing in a circle, damage lots of them at the same time, and give them a little bit more practice with those moving targets and the nest if they feel that they need more practice with that. Now, some of our team's design pillars are movement and urgency, and those are perfectly captured with this new mechanic, as the flight mechanic is our main source of movement, and this egg drop factors perfectly into that, giving them something they can do from the air. It also adds to the urgency as they have to quickly run away from the explosion to make sure that they don't get hit by it. This is the last target here. Detonate it. Perfect. The button is quite far away. The other ones were on the wall just over there. We're going to have to press this button from a distance, and our hint is to use the egg bomb. So this is the last thing that an egg bomb can be used for, is to detonate from a distance and trigger a button from far away. So if I were to trigger this button and try to fly to the door, I wouldn't have quite enough time to make it. But if I fly over to the button and I leave an egg next to it, then I can come near it and press 2 to detonate it and press the button down. And that'll give me just enough time to get through before the door closes. Excellent, we are now a master. And it reminds you, don't forget to press P to return to the menu. Well, my name is Noah Anderson, and that is my mechanic. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Paul Collis Miller. I am on Team Neptune Shark, and this is our game. We are Brave Bird Studios, and we have created an owl game. So let's get right into it. I have the flying level. So my mechanic is flying. So to first start off, I teach the player the basics of it. Just click space to do a jump. Click space in air to hover. And then I teach the players about stamina, and that if they are able to attack a prey, they can regain the stamina, and that also walking on the ground recharges stamina. While in the air, If you are able to click shift, you go way faster. And this is the level that I created with it. It's supposed to be just a place that the player can fly around testing their abilities. And yeah, now we're going to get into all of our design points. So first off, we have our game vision, which is based off of our 3 design pillars, those being movement, pacing, and responsiveness. So movement, of course, is the basics of my whole system. I have the flight system. So I wanted each thing to be gratifying and feel like it has a purpose. The hover state is used as a state that the player can look around, pick their targets, while still having some maneuverability. The When you click shift to go fast, this is how you get from point A to point B while still having the maneuverability to do what you want and still feel like you're an actual owl. A major thing that we wanted while making this system was that it had to still be infused with every other aspect of our game. So as you can see, we have our talent attack. While you're in the air, you can still talent attack even when going fast. Another thing that we have added is our dive bomb. As you can see here, while you're in the air, you're able to dive down all the way to the ground, and we're in a perfect spot to get some prey, which is what we used for our second design pillar, pacing. When we were making our game, we really wanted to have a sense of urgency when going through the forest and escaping predators. The urgency that we decided to do was to have this stamina system. So as you can see, when I'm flying around going pretty fast, I lose stamina more than when I'm just in my hover state. This can get scary. If you have no stamina, you're unable to fly, which means you're able to escape predators. So you always need to be on the lookout for burrows such as these and find more stamina. You can also, while you're on the ground, regain stamina slowly, but it only goes to halfway. So you're still having to look for these burrows and keep the pacing throughout the entire game. Our third, design pillar is our responsiveness. We want to always keep the player in a flow state. Every decision should be fluid and have minimal downtime. When you jump, you jump. There's nothing stopping you from doing whatever action you want. Every action flows directly into the next one. So next up, we have player agency. So as you can see, every decision you make while flying has some sort of consequence. If you're hovering, you're losing stamina but slowly. If you click shift to go fast, you are losing stamina, this time a bit more. If you choose to stay on the ground with that low stamina, you slowly regain it up to 50%. If you choose to attack an enemy, you can gain more stamina. This means that you're on the ground, so there's a chance that a predator could be lurking nearby. So for clarity and learnability, I made the system at the beginning of my level that teaches the player how to interact with our mechanics. Floating text in the air that describe the actions you need to take. Click space to jump. Click space in air to hover. I also tried to make it so that every point where you would learn another portion of our mechanic is a spot that it would be preferable if you just used this. So at this spot, going from here to here, you don't need to use your fast because it takes a lot of stamina and you don't need to do that at the exact moment. But from here, once you get more stamina, here to here is a bit longer, so using the speed is probably preferable. For reward and punishment, we have our stamina system. If you're hovering, you're not losing that much stamina, but you cannot go that fast. If you are going fast, you are losing more stamina. You're able to maneuver around a bit more easy, but you at the cost of losing some stamina. Now, if you were to go down, get get a prey, as you can see here, then there's a chance a predator could be there to attack you. So now you have been punished because you were using your stamina and you lost it all by going way too fast and not conserving it and using your lookout state. So for our feedback, I want each state to have its own specific feel. When you're on the ground, your FOV is set to 70 and the camera is pretty close to your back. When you're in the air, the camera moves slightly to the right so the player can see a bit more. You get the owl noise hooting, you hear the wings flapping, and you see them. When you're going fast, your FOV is set to 120. Camera's pushed back, there's a camera shake, and you can hear the wind in your ears. We also have created a system that if the player is near a prey that would give them stamina, the owl will stare at them, letting the player know that there is a stamina-giving prey close by. Once you walk far away enough, it goes back, and now he is looking forward to wherever you look. For the iteration and variation, we of course have the introduction here with the space to jump, space and air to hover, learning about stamina, and then learning about left shifting to go fast. The next state we have is the intermediate, flying around in the world, learning your maneuverability and how to interact with our movement system. Since the players know about the prey and the fact that they give them stamina, they're able to come over here to this little burrow and then get some. The mastery is making it to the top of the waterfall slash mountain. The player will have to use everything that they've learned to be able to get to the top without running out of stamina. And there we are. And there we go. Thank you guys for watching my video on our movement system, and I hope you guys enjoy.
My name is Robert Johnson, and I am here to go over my IPM level and show off my mechanics. So here we are. Level select, and in my case, it will be the day-night cycle. Alright, so here we are. So first things first, because this will be the biggest thing to notice, there is a day-night cycle. I did set the values to be pretty fast, only because it was a little bit harder to show off if I set it for about 3 minutes the way it was in the main level, because it's supposed to go hand in hand with enemy spawns. However, that part is not completely done yet. So we have enemy spawns done, but now we have to get the timing and pacing down to get the game vision, because we want the night cycle to hit, and then that would bring out more enemies. Or sorry, it would make you would be able to see in the night, which I will showcase here, which is our game vision. You know, you want to have a sense of urgency with the night, because once it hits day, more enemies are going to spawn and it's going to get a little bit harder. So that is why the time keeps changing, and eventually I will add some form of skybox when it's nighttime, because it kind of does it, but then it goes away into that pitch black skybox, which is not ideal. So first things first. Fireflies. They will add 5 health to the player. So I start with 50, only because it was easier to show off. I was going to use wolves, but unfortunately they are not. Or at least on this level, I don't know if it was fixed, but on this level they are not working correctly. But if I go into these fireflies, I get an added 5 health. and that one added up. So, and then if I go here, night vision can go ahead and be toggled with the 3 key. So I'm not going to do it now because it's daytime and it looks really bad. But once I hit night, I can toggle night vision. And then as it gets a little bit brighter, which we'll see here in a second, like that, I can turn it off because night is coming. So the reason why my toy box here, IPM, is a little bit simplistic is because most of my mechanics here aren't necessarily doing as much, I guess you could say. But I have night vision, we have the fireflies, and here I wanted to add the wolves so that you could go and get these fireflies, which technically speaking I can run into it, but because it doesn't add any more health than what my max health is allowed to be, it won't do it. So let's go back. Oops, back to main menu. And level select, and we'll go back in. So one of the things I did notice that does have to be fixed, if I walk directly into it, that's fine. But if I sit on top of it, as you can see, I went from 65 all the way to 100, which is not what it should be doing. So, the reward and punishment, or I'm sorry, the player agency for this would be, as they are traversing through the level, they will have an option of using night vision, which again, nighttime would be a little bit different compared to here because this is for demonstration purposes, but it'd be a little bit harder to see. The area won't be lit up as much, so you can toggle night vision. And that's one of the choices that they have. The next choice would be these fireflies will be spread out throughout the level. Obviously not here, but they will be spread throughout the level. And the player, if they start losing health, it's a quick way to get some health. It's not going to be perfect because you're only getting 5. And the hitbox will be fixed so they can't arbitrarily fill all the way back up. So that'll be 2 of the choices they have. Night and day is just going to be constant. Now it will be, as I said, longer in the main level. It'll be about 3 minutes or so. I only set it to be fairly quick here so I could showcase it. The clarity and learnability, at least for my mechanics, will be pretty easy because all it is gaining the health. So once they walk into it, they'll gain health. Now, for some reason, walking into it works, but if they go over top of it, they just instantly get back to where they should be, which is not ideal. And then the night vision. Of course, they're free to use it anytime, or they can turn it off, whatever is easier for them. The reward for using the night vision, in this case, would be that they can see better around them. The reward for using the fireflies is a quick way to get more health if they were under attack. The problem is they're not going to be everywhere, so that could be a punishment. If you don't get to them fast enough, then the player would arbitrarily, die or lose, or however you want to phrase it. And there really isn't a punishment per se for not using night vision. The only thing that could potentially go wrong with it is that they can't see as well, but there's no, they're not going to necessarily die if they don't use it. It might be harder to traverse the level, but it won't necessarily be the reason reason they either die or don't die. As far as feedback, so let's go here. Where's my mouse? There it is. So the feedback for the fireflies, would be start with 50. I'm not going to jump on it this time. Now we're at 55. So you can see down in the bottom left corner our health, and it goes up by 5 each time I run into those. If, I walk into them, I should say. So that'll be the feedback for that. The feedback for night vision, of course, would be toggling it. You get this green hue. Now it gets really bad in the day. You get that green hue when you toggle it, and you can see things a little bit better. And then to turn it off, you just hit it again, and then you're back to normal vision. Again, it'll be a little bit darker in the main level, but for demonstration purposes, it's like this. And then the way that it gets more advanced would be, again, the key was supposed to have the wolves, and then, you know, they have to traverse here through the nighttime using the night vision, but the wolves are currently not working. So the way that they would traverse this would be getting the little fireflies here. Now they are harder to see in the bright daylight, of course, but when the night vision's toggled, you can see them a little better. I may change the color of those just to be more transparent or clear in the main level. But for the purposes of this, that is why they would build on top of each other. Because using the night vision traversing the level, they could see it better, which, let me demonstrate that. So if I go into here, wait for nighttime, so you can kind of see them, and then once it hits night, you can see them a little better, because the particle effect is better. Now I'm just going to turn this off. And then, of course, the day-night cycle. The way that that will eventually come into play is that it will, when it's nighttime, you'll be able to traverse the level better because you'll have the night vision and everything. But once it hits day, we're going to have enemies spawn in, and more enemies will spawn in versus prey. Prey refills health and stamina and stuff like that. But we have to get the timings done right. And again, this day-night cycle will be set for about 3 minutes in the main level, and then we'll try to time it from there. So that is my demonstration for my specific mechanics. Thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Trey Davis, and this is my pickup and drop mechanic. So we're going to go ahead and head on in to the game. Once we dive in here, we can select the level. I'm going to go to the pickup level. So off the rip, we can see that we can press Q to pick up any of the blue glowing objects, such as the branch, the rock, and soon to come many more other things as well. The way this is going to become applicable later on in the game is there's going to be many ways to use it. Whether you want to pick up the rock and throw it, such as that, or whether you want to be able to pick up certain other prey as well, or clear paths. So as you can see right here, the player is faced with an obstacle or a path. This is just one example of how the player can use the pickup mechanic by moving the obstacles out of their way to proceed along the path. And then once we get through here, we can see that the pickup mechanic can also be used, there we go, to kill prey as well. So we can see right here we have a field mouse. When we pick up this rock, we can smash the field mouse with it, and it will kill the field mouse, and it will give us our walk speed. So now we have an increased walk speed from using the rock on the field mouse. We can also pick up the bodies of the mice that are killed and use them to bait out some of the wolves and to get some of the other predators to leave you alone. And the idea behind having the pickup mechanic is being able to give the player a lot more ways to approach different fights. Instead of just having it be a simple clicker where you click the talon or you click the dive bomb, you now have ways where you can either like throw a rock to take out predators, for example, predators and prey. You can either walk up to them and you can talon attack, or you can do your dive bomb. You can lure predators out using the prey's bodies. We wanted to give the players the feeling of having a lot of choices in their survival and how they're going to survive. This fits with the game vision well, because our game vision was to give the player the feeling of always being on edge and at the same time having to feel like they're fighting for their life in unconventional ways sometimes, but still having to fight for their lives in ways that owls might. This also fits the game vision because we wanted something that was going to be realistic, and realistically owls do pick up and drop their prey to kill them. So we can put this all together, and when we come to the very end, we can see that when we get here, we're able to use all of these to either fight off the mice or to fight off the wolves. There are supposed to be wolves inside of here. However, there's a problem with the wolf spawner. But you should be able to fight off the wolves and all the mice inside of here using different mechanics and using different ways to fight off the wolves, such as the dive bomb as well as the pickup mechanic and the throw mechanic. So that's the end of the level, and at this point the player should have mastered it. The way we hope to lean the player into learning this mechanic is by implementing a tutorial video as well as having them learn it early on in the levels by having to either move objects as a way to get through a certain area or by having to throw objects at a certain boss. So that is my pick up and drop mechanic. I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.